Thank you so much for joining the Community Violence Intervention Center. My name is Koya Tompkins, and I am the President and CEO of CVIC. Our vision is to end interpersonal violence in 2 generations through safety, healing, and education. And today we're talking about all things safety with Grand Forks Police Chief Mark Nelson and Director of Community Response Jennifer Albert. Okay, so Jennifer, we're going to actually start with you. If you can, a lot of people aren't really aware of the Coordinated Community Response Program and kind of what it's intended to do. Can you kind of give us an overview of that?
The Coordinated Community Response Program is really about connecting with our partners or stakeholders, so like your first responders, law enforcement, medical, social services, and really looking at how the response is to domestic violence and sexual violence, and what are the community partners seeing, what are the gaps, what are the trends, and then how do we work together to actually make it a better experience, if you can do that, for somebody who is experiencing such trauma.
But what are some of the benefits you see as someone has a team responding to these calls?
I think the main benefit is when I go back almost the 3 decades that I've been working in law enforcement in Grand Forks, was before a response to a call was leave a domestic violence card, maybe someone will call you back in a month, a couple months. And it was really frustrating as a first responder because you would see a stack of cards on the counter, but there never seemed to be any change. Since CCR has been initiated, what we see now is the ability to speak to somebody, to educate our officers on CCR so they can just kind of scratch that surface, but knowing that by filling out the domestic violence form, by getting the police report over, by having the stakeholder meetings, that there is somebody that's going to follow up. And obviously the positive byproduct for that is that's less and less times I'm putting officers in harm's way, hopefully not going to repeated domestics at the same residence.
So one of the programs that's a part of this coordinated effort is the Lethal Assessment Protocol. Tell us a little bit about that, Jen, and what it actually is.
Yeah, so when I came into this program, we were looking at, as Chief mentioned, the referrals to CVIC. The one thing that we have learned over the years is that if the referrals are happening, they don't always connect with services. And so how do we get them connected immediately? And so that's where the lethality assessment protocol comes into play. We have the officers who will read the 11 questions and identify whether or not this individual is in high danger. And then if is positive, if they are in high danger, then they will reach out to our CVIC staff people immediately versus just having them do the referral, the business card referral, and then we have the client call back. This has really opened up, I would say, just a new level of services for clients. We actually just got done pulling some stats for the last 6 years. We implemented in 2015, and we have reached about 50% new clients. And so that was about 300 clients that would not have received services at CVIC had not been for the implementation of the LAP program.
So Chief, tell us what that looked like. What was your world like before and after? What the acronym we use is LAP, Lethal Assessment Protocol, but it looked a little different before we had the program.
Our world has changed since LAP in a positive way, and the reason I say that is, one, I think in order for a program to be successful, it has to be introduced evidence-based and educated. So I think by doing those steps before rolling it out and then simplifying and incorporating that right into the domestic violence form instead of creating another piece of paperwork was one thing that helped. But the second thing that helped is even as officers, you can tell multiple times you go back to the same residence, the more times you're there, you can see the level of violence escalating, and i.e. eventually could be turning lethal. I think the biggest thing for us is that ability to stand right there and almost be an extension as an advocate for you guys. I can tell you anecdotally on multiple occasions, having a cell phone in every squad car, which actually good news is we're in the process now of not only every squad car, but right now we will have every officer will be issued a cell phone, so not even tied to a car. The ability to have that number in there, to have instant contact with an advocate, And I will tell you, not everybody wants to talk to an advocate right away, but when we've been able to explain the positive sides of LAP, plus having that cell phone there, but that person that's in crisis right there, having someone on the other end that can talk them through, and then us being able to help execute that plan, whether that's shelter, whether that's see me in the morning, whatever that may be, having that level of understanding and level of comfort between CVIC and the police department is what makes it work.
It's so remarkable when you think about the teamwork of that just on one of those calls, and how that could actually prevent a future visit, and maybe get someone some help that they've never had before.
And if I may, I will say that we actually interviewed an officer a few years back, and I recall in that interview the officer saying that it was really nice, since the lethality assessment has been implemented, that they have some sense of like that individual is going to be able to seek those services. So it was very honoring to hear that from that officer as well.
Absolutely. Well, and one of the things I really appreciate about working with Chief and your team, your extended team of about 90 officers, is that you do see the value of it, and you're investing in us. I mean, that cell phone sounds like a simple thing, but you take that times 90, that gets pretty pricey. So we appreciate you making that investment in us. What about the folks that are afraid to make that first call to CVIC? What would you say to someone, or even a family member, that thinks they could a friend or family member could benefit from CVIC?
Just know that it's confidential. Our advocates don't judge, and we understand the strength that it takes for you to be reaching out. And so we will meet you where you're at, and if it's just call and say a couple of things and then don't come back in, that's fine. Or if you call and do a follow-up appointment, that's fine too. So we will meet you where you're at.
Absolutely. That's one of the benefits of calling is, I think there is a stigma around this, and people think I'm going to be judged. Grand Forks PD is trauma informed, and that teamwork really goes a long way. So we both appreciate you so much for being here with us today and taking time to dig a little deeper. And next time we're going to get to talk a little bit more cop shop with Grand Forks Police Department officers Justin O'Neill and Troy Vanyo. They're going to be filling us in on Citizens Academy.